Today at 4:15 p.m., Hancock County Sheriff Calvin Gray was arrested in Shelby County. Sheriff Gray has been charged with 1 count of obstruction of justice. This arrest results from an ongoing investigation by the Greenfield Police Department, the Indiana State Police, and the Hancock County Sheriff's Department concerning misuse of government monies. During the investigation, Sheriff Gray was found to have called witnesses threatening their safety.
What do you mean calling witnesses and threatening?
There was witnesses called in an attempt to get them not to speak with us during the investigation. Okay, there was threats made of physical harm.
These are not witnesses in other cases, but would they have been witnesses within the department?
Yes.
So fellow officers were threatened?
Some fellow officers, yes.
During either of the conversation between Donnie Munden and Brian Ellison, did the sheriff threaten either of those two individuals?
Can you repeat your question for me, please?
Did the sheriff ever threaten Donnie Munden in his phone conference with Donnie Munden?
I don't believe he ever threatened Donnie.
Any other direct communications between Bud Gray and Brian Ellison that you considered to be threats?
I don't believe so.
So just that sole statement?
I'm sorry, that was to Donnie Munden. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So he said to Donnie Munden that he would not, say that again, he wouldn't?
Would not lay his head on the pillow until he and Brian met and had it out.
So that wasn't even said to Brian Ellison?
That's correct.
And why did Brian Ellison tell you that he didn't want to be taken into protective custody?
I don't know that he actually gave me a reason, sir.
Did Brian Ellison tell you that he was afraid for his life?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of, no.
And to your knowledge, there was no indication at that point in time that Sheriff Gray had ever taken any action to intimidate Brian Ellison?
Prior to his arrest,
Yes, sir.
he had conveyed the threat to me.
So what statement did the sheriff make to you that intimidated Brian Ellison?
I can't say that it had intimidated Brian Ellison.
So there were no statements that he made to you that would have intimidated Brian Ellison?
Correct.
Did any of the individuals that you interviewed indicate that the sheriff had personally threatened them?
No, sir.
Did any of the people that you interviewed indicate that they overheard the sheriff personally threaten anyone else?
No, sir.
Did any of the witnesses that you interviewed tell you that that they had witnessed the sheriff destroy evidence?
No, sir.
Had any of the persons that you interviewed told you that they had witnessed the evidence or witnessed the sheriff destroy evidence?
No, sir.
Any of the witnesses that you spoke with tell you that the sheriff had dummied up any records?
No, sir.
Would it be fair to say that none of the witnesses that you spoke with after the arrest of the sheriff provided you with any tangible evidence of obstruction of justice?
That'd be a correct statement, sir.
Would you agree with me having the press present in terms of concern for Bud Gray's emotional state that was obviously not going to help?
Absolutely.
And that would be traumatic.
I agree.
And was Bud by himself?
No, sir. He was with Jay Sedigan.
Was the press present at that point in
Yes.
time? And were they following him?
Who's that?
The press?
No, the press was with me.
The press was with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm kind of lost. I thought you were at the back of the casino with
Yes.
the security.
Yes.
And the press is with you. Do they ride in your car?
Yes, they did.
So you brought the press to the arrest.
Yes, I did.
Is that something you usually do?
No, sir, it's not.
How many times have you done that in your career?
I don't know that I've ever done that in my career.
So that's your first and only time to your
Yes, sir.
recollection?
Yes, sir.
Is that standard operating procedure for your department to give the press rights to an arrest?
No, sir, it's not.
If an officer came and asked you about doing something like that, would you approve it?
We argued about it.
Pardon me?
We argued about it.
No. My question is, if you had an officer come to you in your capacity as the chief of police and said, hey, I'm going to give the press a ride to the arrest of a suspect, would you approve that?
No, sir, I would not.
It was your vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
And who'd you argue with?
Donnie Munden.
Who was in charge of the investigation?
I was, sir.
So ultimately, it's your decision, right?
Absolutely.
So it's your decision to bring the press to the arrest.
Absolutely.
You could have told the press that they need to stay out of the way, correct?
I could have, yes, I could have.
Would you agree with me that one of the concerns you have when you make an arrest, if you think somebody is supposedly emotionally unstable, is that other people could be injured?
Absolutely.
Would you agree with me that it wouldn't be wise to bring non-law enforcement people to a situation where they potentially could be placed at risk?
I agree totally.
But you didn't do that.
No, sir, I did not.
Do you think bringing the press would make it more calm or less calm?
Probably less calm.
And that was at the insistence of somebody from the sheriff's department?
Yes, sir.
And that was Mr. Munden?
Yes, sir.
And you went along with it?
Yes, I did.
What evidence do you have that there was criminal intent on the part of the sheriff to commit theft?
I don't at this point.
So there is no evidence of mens rea?
Not now.
There wasn't evidence at the time you prepared this report either, correct?
Nope.
And without mens rea, you don't have theft, do you?
That's correct.
The special prosecutor, in summary, viewed, quote, this investigation and the entire case as unfortunate and avoidable. He also observed that, quote, there was no motivating factor that required a rush to judgment and Sheriff Gray being arrested. It would have been far better to obtain the appointment of a special prosecuting attorney immediately so the entire investigation could have been conducted in a neutral manner without the drama of a public spectacle, unquote. Special Prosecutor's Report to the Court of February 9th, 2011.
Since the time you have been chief of police with the Greenfield Police Department, how many independent investigations have you led or conducted?
This one
Just one?
that I have led or conducted, yes, sir, just this one.
How many cases a year does the Greenfield Police Department handle?
As far as investigations?
Yes, sir.
I'm guessing they probably work on 300 or 400 cases that the detectives work on. I can tell you how many calls we take as a department.
Sure, how many calls?
Right at 44,000 a year.
And how long have you been chief of police?
I've been the chief since '08.
So you're approaching, quarter of 250,000 calls during that course of time?
Since I've been the chief?
Yes, sir.
Without doing the math, I'll take your word for it.
Does that sound like at least within the ballpark?
Yeah.
And out of all those potential, calls for crimes, this is the only case that you have been involved with?
No, sir.
Okay. How many others have you been the investigator on?
As the investigator?
Yes, sir.
This one.
Oh, okay. So this is the only one.
That I've been the investigator, yes, sir.
Have you ever run for sheriff?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you ever run for sheriff against Bud Gray?
Yes, sir, I did.